Hi, and welcome back. In the previous lesson, we saw a simple example of inheritance. Let's move on to some interview question can be asked related to this simple inheritance we saw. First question can be, why do we need the override method at all? Your answer should reflect the understanding that the benefit of overriding is the ability to define a behavior that is specific to the subclass type, which means a subclass can implement parent class method based on its requirement. In our example, we saw the subclass implementation of fill method. It is different for each of the blue, red, and green classes. In object-oriented terms, overriding means to override the functionality of an existing method. Another question can be, why does Java initialize the superclass first? The answer is that child object contains itself and also contains its parent class. The parent class member variable are initialized using superclass constructor. So in order to initialize the element of the parent class before its own elements are even initialized, super should be called first. And if the interviewer asks you what is the output kind of question, you should know that superclass constructors are always called first. So if there's some kind of printing or initialization, it will be activated before the subclass code. Another confusing question the interviewer can ask is, does a class inherit the constructor of its superclass? As we saw in the example, the answer is no. Subclass are calling their superclass constructor, but they are not inherit their constructor and not override it. Subclasses inherit only their superclass method and data member. The last question I would like to discuss, which is very common but is also very tricky. Does Java support multiple inheritance? The question is actually asking, can I extend two classes in one subclass? For example, class child extend parent A and parent B. Can I do it in Java? The simple answer is no, because if both parents are implementing the same method, let's say fill, like in our example, and the child class doesn't implement it, there will be a binding problem in runtime and the JVM could not know which method it should bind, the one from parent A or the other from parent B. This problem is also called the diamond problem. I have to make one comment here. Java 8 came with a new concept of default method in the interface, meaning the interface can carry the default implementation from the interface itself. Because implementing multi-interfaces are allowed in Java, this results some kind of multiple inheritance. But this is advanced stuff. If you will be able to answer this question in the beginner interview, I'm pretty sure your interviewer will be very much impressed and your chances to get the job will increase dramatically. Okay, we saw the very basic of inheritance and answered some questions. I invite you to join me to the next lesson, in which I will continue with example and talk about polymorphism. Polymorphism is another basic concept of object-oriented language, which you must understand and master because it's really one of the common interview questions. Thank you for listening and see you in the next lesson.